Welcome to Fans of the Game. I am your host, Jim John the Critic, and I want to welcome you all to this new space that me and my team is creating here, also known as the Critical Boys, who you guys will meet sometime down the line. And I want to give you guys a little bit of information on what exactly this pod is for and what I plan on doing with it and how you guys can continue to always support us. For starters, Fans of the Game became the name simply because I am a fan of the space, and all of my friends that come onto this space as well are truly fans of the game. There isn't a space like this where you have fans critiquing the game, and this is where me and my friends come in because we feel that we are very advocates of the game, especially myself, watching numerous sports, and just want to give you guys a good, justifiable content, not coming from no biased narratives or anything like that, just real, genuine content for the players, for the fans, also viewers, anybody who watch. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who does. You know, this is all the beginning stages of, so we're only trying to get better as well. I would say thank you to all, and you guys can always continue to like, share, and subscribe on all social media platforms that are available to you and the ones that we have available at the moment. And in this time, I just want to say thank you again. For this particular season, I am repping the Las Vegas Aces. I've been a fan of the Las Vegas Aces for going on probably like 4 years now. They went through a little transitional period. Last year we had Candace Parker. She didn't really play much, but you know what I'm saying. She was still good. First half of the season, I mean, dominated every fucking body. And I mean, though she wasn't Candace Parker, who she was in LA, I mean, but she still came in there and gave me 7, 7, and 7. You know what I'm saying? 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 7 points. Like, I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? Plus, but Asia, Chelsea, and Kelsey, and Jackie, like, I'll take that. You know, the year before that, I believe we had Liz Cambage, who doesn't play in the WNBA right now, take off of like absence or whatever she's going through. Hope she makes it back. She's a terrific player when she was dominating in the league a couple years ago with Dallas, and then she had a little stint in LA. Like my WNBA knowledge is pretty extensive just because I like the game that much. Like I said, I'm a fan of the game, so I follow the game in a very different way. And I'm just so sick and tired of the mainstream media focusing on Caitlin Clark. And I for one, I agree with Angel Reese, and all her tweets and stuff, just saying stop focusing on one particular team, which I get. Like what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA, terrific. Like you cannot be mad for what she's doing and for what she's bringing in chartered flights and the ratings going up and just bringing a lot more money into it. And there was like, I was watching Gil's Arena yesterday, and they said that they have already surpassed the gross amount that they made in ticket sales over like 2,000%. I don't know how the hell you go over 2,000%. I mean, how the hell you go over 100%, but 2,000% is even way astronomical than what the WNBA even could have believed from the previous season. And for that, the Caitlin Clark effect is in full effect, I might add. However, they do need to do a better job, and this goes for the media that goes on like all these other media platforms, especially the ones that have these national televised platforms that only still focus on Caitlin Clark, where they'll show clips of the Fever game and be like, oh, you know, the Fever lost again, but Caitlin Clark had a darn good game. You know what I'm saying? 17, 5, and 8. Like, they still lost. And then they're asking, like, well, what can Caitlin Clark do differently? It's not about fucking Caitlin Clark, okay? The team itself needs to play better. Aaliyah Boston needs to play better, okay? And if the team is centered around those two, Aaliyah Boston has to have more than 8 and 8, okay? That like to win a game. Now, don't get me wrong. Kelsey Mitchell, Lisa Smith, I believe is how you say her name, the one who used to date DJ Carrington, has been posting that on social media, which is crazy. But y'all are messy for worrying about the mess and the drama of the WNBA versus the actual game itself. But I digress. The Aces, in their particular, we just lost our first game to the Mercury. Shout out to Coop, who I like to call her name is Talia Copper, but Coop is who I call her by. 37 fucking points against us. I believe 18 and 23. And 37 points. I mean, she couldn't fucking miss, okay? I mean, I'm watching the game, seeing the highlights. I'm like, this shit is crazy. And I mean, the shots are just like pull-ups off like dribbles. And I just feel like the Aces in that particular game just didn't be the best defensive self. And in the fourth quarter, we gave up way too many open shots, too many contested shots. And it was just by the time it got to like the 6-minute mark when we finally came back, and Jackie Young missed the last contested bucket where it was like we could have tied the game. Not tied the game. We would have been down by 1 because it was like a 4-point ball game, and we would have been down by 2 if she'd have made it. She missed it. And they come back down, get a bucket. Kalia Copper drives up by 6 now. At that point, you're playing the fouling game, and we're just trying to get misses, and then Kalia Copper get another run out, and that's the ball game basically. Besides the foul, so we end up losing by 10. But if you took the spread plus 10, I mean, what was I think it was plus 12 for that game, and they won. So I believe we need Chelsea Gray back. I don't know how soon it's gonna be until she comes back, but we need her back just because of what it does for the offense. Another score, and that's not saying that Kelsey, Jackie, and Asia can't handle it, but like the team is circled around them four, so when it's just them three, it isolates them from playing off of each other in a certain way. Like with just Kelsey and Jackie Young, they're gonna look for their shots. Like they're gonna try to get other people involved, but that's not their natural role. Their natural roles are to score. Kelsey Plum is gonna shoot the shit out of the goddamn ball, and Jackie, this particular season, what I've noticed more is that she's gonna attack more downhill. But that doesn't mean she can't spot up and hit and knock them motherfuckers down. She definitely can't. But if we're going to three-peat, we do need Chelsea Gray. We're gonna need Chelsea Gray back if we plan on three-peat, but we're gonna need her if we want to three-peat. I keep saying again, but we're gonna need her for sure. Let's move on to the rookies, the other rookies per se, I should say, in the league at this particular time. Angel Reese, Camila Cardozo is expected to make her return, I believe, this week. Maybe is it? I believe it's sometime this week, if I'm not mistaken. And I think what it'll do for Chicago and them this season, and what it will do for them trying to make a playoff push. I believe they can make a playoff push. Honestly, like the way Mariah Mabry is playing, I believe that's how I say her name. The game last night against the Liberty was just tremendous. I mean, the shot making ability. Who knew that she had this amount of time making ability with Coop being there last year? You really didn't see it as much, but I mean, now she's taken over as more of that point scoring guard, and truly her game is to pass. And last year she had a lot more pieces. Alana Smith was there, Coop was there, Courtney Williams was there, but all of them are gone. And now you have to free up. Now you have this space for Diana Evans, Trinity Carter off the bench. Man, okay, girl can go. I mean, it's the floaters, the back and forth. Like it was amazing. I mean, when she was in Atlanta, she was pretty good. She was all rookie team that her first year with Atlanta, and I think averaged like 17 or 15 points. And I think she's just been injured for a couple of years, and especially with when she got released from the Sparks, they were hoping that she was going to help them contest and be a good team that year. Just didn't happen that year for that whole entire thing for a multitude of reasons. Fisher was gone that year, that following season, and so was Liz Campaign. The Sparks are in a rebuild mode. We're going to focus on the Sparks now with Cameron Brink and a lot of the talent they got over there. The Sparks, they going to shoot the shit out of the ball. I mean, shoot the shit out of the ball. Lexi Brown, she a scorer, okay? She going to look for her shot, and she going to get a bucket. I don't know who the guard is now. I do believe they need to get Ari McDonald in there and get her more involved just because of what she does offensively with passing. De'Erica Canby from the Las Vegas Aces a couple years ago. Been a great addition to them. 2-time 6 Women of the Year. Like, I don't know why she's still coming off the bench, but I guess it makes sense if you're going to have Cameron Brink in the starting lineup. I think they're trying to build around Cameron Brink, which makes a lot more sense for them to be in a position to kind of be more successful. But De'Erica Canby, it's given triple-double, and she's looking at a defensive team this year at the rate she keeps on going this year. And the Sparks can potentially find themselves at the lower end of the playoffs, but almost looking in if they can continue to compete at a high level and knock down shots, because that is what their model is. Knock down shots and just play at a very high level, because every single game they played has been a very competitive game, and that's a little bit majority across the entire league. Even if you go look at a team like a Dallas or like the Mercury, well, they're 2-1 sitting there. The undefeated team in the league right now is the Connecticut Sun. But even their last 3 games, the Fever, Minnesota, I believe, have all been has been almost damn near overtime. But in the one in Minnesota did go to overtime, and they end up outlasting the Fever when they played in a couple earlier last week, I believe. But DiJonai Carrington for them have been a very, very big push from this year to last year. Like last year, she was coming off the bench. This year she's starting this year and just been a bigger role defending just being a dog. You know what I'm saying? She's just a dog. And she's gonna defend your best players like what she did every single time they played the Fever, just locking up Caitlyn and making her tougher the entire time. But also you got AT and Dewana Bonner. They got their little chemistry. I mean, they're married by the way. So I mean, they got chemistry. But they just been there and they've been there, done that. And teams like the top three teams at the top like if you're looking at tiers in WNBA, the top three teams, Aces, Liberty, and Connecticut are your top three dogs. And they're not playing. They're playing right now. They're playing to coast. I wouldn't say coast, but they're playing to get a comfortable lead in their conferences or divisions to put themselves in a better position for the Commissioner's Cup as well, but also in the playoffs. Like those are your playoff teams. Like they don't play for the regular season. They already know what we already know what they're going to do in the regular season. That we know they're going to dominate. We know they're going to win. But that next tier team is where it gets a little tricky at. And that's where you have the competitive teams that may make a push that could slightly beat those teams and knock them off. For me, I would have to say the Dallas Wings. Sierra McCowan gives a lot of trouble to all three bigs that play for those teams with Brianna Thomas for Connecticut, Jonquil Jones for Liberty, and Asia Wilson, along with Kia Stokes and the other girl that plays for them as well. I cannot think of her name right now. Number 7, and she has a weird funky jumper, but she cashed from the corner though. Kia Stokes, there it is. Her as well. Sierra McCowan gives all of them a trouble down low just because of her size, and she can defend at a high level, but she also rebounds, and a lot of her points are from offensive rebound, from putbacks and misses and things like that, and just kind of just being active on the board. But they also have Kalani Brown as well. Like they have these bigs, and they also have Satu Sabli, who has not even played yet. So they have like 3 players that are like 6'7" and above. And a lot of teams don't even have like 1 or 2 people that are 6'7" and above. So you can see the trouble that the Dallas Wings could give a team like those. And they also have Rika, who's a dog. I can't really say her last name, so I won't even try it. But she's literally the Donovan Mitchell of the WNBA, and just a bucket getter who's going to get a shot. She needs to be more consistent in a way for them to be contenders and to be consistent with her play and getting others involved. I believe it's a little bit harder for her right now because there's other outside of her and the big down low. I don't understand or know who's the other scorer outside of her, with Satu being out. Satu is the other reliable, consistent scorer that you can go to, but right now it's just an inside out game between her, Tia McCowan, and Rico on the outside. And I'm not saying that she can't drive and kick and dish and things like that, but initially when you go into those games, you know that it's going to be those two. And when Satu comes back from playing overseas and her injury and things like that, she's going to be that second scorer. Tia will be that third scorer. So now you can really focus on an inside out game and also a post up game with Satu because she can hit those middies and hit that out and hit that 12 to 15 feet jumper as well. Another team that made a big splash in the offseason was Seattle Storm, with getting Nneka Nwuke, also getting Skylar Diggins, and adding them with Jewel Lloyd and Izzy. So now they have their own big four, they need to continue to find their groove. But I mean, Nneka missed like 2 games, so that kind of threw things off. But I mean, they had a big win a couple weeks ago. I want to say the Liberty. No, they lost to Liberty. They beat Minnesota. I'm sorry. They had beat Minnesota in an overtime game. Them winning that game kind of I would say eased them a bit. I would say because in the next game they looked a lot easier. They won the following game as well. So I believe that the record's 2-2. And even with the record, you just know that the talent's there for them to be successful and to be in that tier where they can contest and challenge the other tier teams. And I think for them, it's just going to be continuity. They just need to play together. They need to get in a rhythm. They need to feel each other out and find each other's spots and just figure out what works. Because right now, when you look at them, it looks like they're playing almost like the Suns, the Phoenix Suns, where they're deferring a bit, where it's like, okay, I got to make sure you get those shots off. But they're also just shooting badly. 9 of 22, 8 of 18. 8 of 18 is not bad per se in the WNBA because that's what a lot of people shoot, especially like bench players, things like that. And it's just a very hard league to score in. But for scorers of a Jewel Lloyd caliber, of 9 of 22 is not a good game for her. And a lot of the shots are just falling short for her. I mean, and I think the previous game, she had 24. And again, I don't remember who it was again, but she had 24 against them. and they won that game as well. That was the second one of the season, and that she balled out, and that's the kind of storm we need to see moving forward, I believe. Another team I want to mention in that tier is Atlanta. They have the most dog person on their team in Ryan Howard, and she's by far my second favorite player in the WNBA. My first player being Asia Wilson. Ryan Howard is a dog. I mean, I don't know how you stop her because she can go inside and outside. The support, I believe, the Dream have probably one of the top supporting cast players around on their team. They have one of the most complete rosters, I believe, and the entire WNBA, with the bench being completed with a rising star, I would say, who played at Stanford last year, and Haley Jones, who's very efficient off the bench. They also have Alija Gray in the starting lineup with her, who gives her an efficient rate of shooting and passing ability. And then they also have big down low with China, I believe it's like China Parker, who was also a dog. ESPN rated her in the top 25 preseason voting, and she was number like 25, I believe, which is still like a big nod, meaning that you are leading your way and leading your peers in a way that they see notice you. And Ryan Howard was like 12 or 7th or something on that list, but she is a dog for sure, and you will see that if you tune into these games. However, you can go on to FanDuel. This is not a promotion or anything, but this is literally what you get. FanDuel had a promotion earlier this week where you bet $1, if you bet $1 on NBA on WNBA, you will win a month of free WNBA free access league pass for them, and then after that you have to pay for it after that point. But I did that as well, just because I wanted the full month for the 1 month free. I already had it I had it last year, but when I seen the promotion this year, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do that. I did that. I won my bet. I bet $1, won like $3 just because. But that's just that. Let's move on, shall we? To I want to podcast, but back to the Sparks and the Fever. Sparks and Fever game. They're in that same tier, literally. You know what I'm saying? You get the Fever, you get the Sparks. I want to throw Chicago in there just because they have 2 fresh rookies in there, but they're not in that tier. That's like, if there's a tier A, tier B for that, Chicago's in there because Chicago just came off a championship probably like 3 years ago with Candace Parker and Kalia Copper being the Finals MVP of that year. So I can't say that, and like it's not much of a rebound. It's not much of a rebuild for them, but much of a how can we improve this roster right now to get it back to where we need it to go. And right now they're 2-1. Right now I believe they're 2-1. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not mad at that record, and I'm also not mad at the effort that they're giving on the floor because Mariah Mabry is playing like an all-star level caliber player right now. And I know we're only 3 weeks in right now, but you're going to see much more of what she can do, and it's phenomenal how much she has in her bag. Let's move on to why I started watching the WNBA. To make a long story short, there was a finals game going on during All-Star weekend and during the NBA. And for some reason, I'm not really sure why the finals was going on during that time, maybe, but it was a pretty good game. And I happened to tune in, and lo and behold, it was the Lynx. I don't know. Matter of fact, it probably wasn't even an All-Star game. Probably, or not an All-Star game, but it was some type of playoff game, I believe, because it was a crazy atmosphere, and it was Minnesota, versus the Sparks, and it was Maya Moore versus Candace Parker in this particular game, and there was a big buzzer beater in that game, and ever since that moment, I really have been tuned in. I believe that was like 2014 when that had happened, and from that moment, I've just been a fan. But also, I had noticed that there were a lot of fine ass women in the WNBA. And I don't know one thing about you, but I know there are tons of females who watch football, NFL, basketball, whatever sport you want, any male sport, just because players are fine to them or they find them attractive in some type of sort. And this is not to sexualize players or any type of sort of way or anything like that. Women are, I'm a guy. I'm attracted to women, just to put that out there. You know what I'm saying? Heterosexual male for anybody. But the amount of women that are fine in the WNBA, despite whatever sexuality they may have or whatever, you gotta watch. For one, I played basketball. Like, I didn't play like for any team particular, but I just played the shit just for fun or whatever, and just having fun with my boys. We just go out and hoop, we'll bust some niggas' ass or whatever and stuff like that. Pause. Like, literally,
you can just be scrolling on Instagram and happen to come across some hoopers or whatever. And you're like, wait a minute, bro, she playing the WNBA? Like this, she kind of she all right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't mad at it. But for me, it was you get these fine ass women and they hoop. Let me say that one more time. You get these fine ass women and they hoop. Like for a guy, like what was not better than that? Like I didn't get it. So when it comes now, and I'm looking at people on social media talking about Chicago's big three with Angel Reese, Kaiser, and Izzy. I'm like, y'all late, okay? First of all, Izzy and Kaiser, they've been fine. And if you don't know who Izzy is, she was I believe she was a fourth round pick, and also Kaiser was a fourth round pick. But they also had stints outside of the WNBA and they kind of lost their way in a little bit in WNBA and just haven't been consistent with being on the roster. But they are both now playing for Chicago. And you added in Angel Reese, and now they got this big three. And all three of them are pretty fine. I'm not gonna lie to you. And there's some other teams. Well, me and one of my homeboys had a huge debate, and he was telling me that the Sparks were the finest team in the WNBA, and I was like, wait a minute, brother. Yeah, you're pushing it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Lexi Brown she's there. Okay, I've been on. You know what I'm saying? Lexi Brown's just been there, and she can hoop. That's how I know she can hoop. And you got Connecticut, DJ Carrots, and like it's like these are just like just go look them up. You know what I'm saying? Run through the roster, and you'll find them. They're there for sure. And then if you guys feel like I'm sexualizing people, I apologize. You know what I'm saying? Not to harm anybody at all, but I'm just calling a spade a spade. Find women that can hoop, and that's attractive to me. And if you don't like it because they don't, if you don't want to follow the sport because they fine, okay, fine. Then just follow the game because it's a good we're fans of the game, but also they're pretty damn good and they're professionals just like these male athletes, and I believe they deserve the attention as well. And this is the reason why I started this podcast. And along the series, you're gonna hear a whole bunch of other people come on, and they're gonna give their takes and say what they gotta say, and they're gonna say the same thing. A lot of these females in this game are really fine, but they really hoop, and they are some dogs, bro. And the more and more you watch, like you'll understand, truthfully. But let's get into betting on the WNBA because that is a very big thing. Betting now is now in North Carolina where I reside, and it's just become very popular. But a lot of people don't know what to do with the WNBA, and they just probably just taking Caitlin Clark prop bets and thinking that she's gonna get 20 and 30 and pop up 4 or 5 threes. Granted, she might do that, and that's where maybe all her points come from. But if you want to be sharp, you know what I'm saying? If you want to be a lion out there, you gotta know the game, and this is where we coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been WN a long time because I just became legal. But I've watched the game, know the game, and I respect the game. And if you respect the game, you know the game. And again, I started off this show saying don't take a minus 16 spread, and I'm standing on business with that. Do not take a minus 16 spread. It is the foolish shit you can do, okay? Simply because the odds makers don't know what they're doing because they've never seen the W. They've never paid attention to the WA more or less even knowing what to put on the line. So when they have the Las Vegas Aces at minus 16, you really think the Aces out there going to go out there and spot 17 on somebody without one of their best players on the court? No. They haven't even won by fucking 10 or more this season, okay? And this is me as a fan of the Aces saying that, saying, girls, we need to pick it up, okay? And I know we're missing Chelsea Gray, but we got to pick it up. However, you give me a minus 5, minus 6 a little bit, I may take that. You know what I'm saying? But anything over like minus 8, I'm looking a little iffy on it, just depending on the team and who the opponent is. I'll give you an example, actually. Matter of fact, tonight there's a game that comes on versus Fever and Sparks spreads +2, -2 for the Fever. Fever haven't won a game. This is more than likely their chance to win. This is probably their best chance right now to win, to take this game away from the Sparks. But Sparks are at home, and I'm not saying that the Sparks are gonna blow them out, but I'm like, spot me to +2.5 for the Sparks at home. Yeah, matter of fact, I'd probably take the Sparks money line. Damn it, just because that is first of all, that's the value bet, but that's also like the noticeable bet. Like, give me the +2
and I'll take my chances of the Fever going to win by one when they haven't proven that they can win a game yet, despite what you call it. And I understand that there's a big size difference between those both teams, but Aaliyah Boston down there and Cameron Brink going probably more than likely being matched up against her. But I just feel like there's a lot more. There's a lot more shooting on the Spark side than there is on the Fever side. The Fever overall have, you could say, a better talented team that's on the rise. But I wouldn't argue that. I would say both teams are probably right in the same right. They're literally right in that same tier of on the rise where they're building. They're in that same tier. If we're going to go back to the tiers, like that tier 3 team of kind of improving and kind of being there. Also in that second tier team where I was telling you where there's Seattle, Dallas, Atlanta, Minnesota is two I missed as well. Minnesota is in that category as well because Napisa Collier, she's gonna give you buckets in that post. Okay, I don't know how she do it. She gonna give it to you, and that's it. And then they also got Alana Smith, who's come along very nicely. But also, like, I played 2K, and I did my career on the W side, and I played with and I got drafted to the Wings when I did it, and this is how I started finding out about Dana Evans, who is a fucking bucket and gonna get and she. And if you want to take a prop bet, take her two threes. Fuck whatever the actual odds is. Even if it's a minus 250, take the 2 fucking threes, okay? Because she's gonna hit it, okay? Take the 2 threes. Don't if you're gonna bet on the NBA, don't worry about what the odds is. You want to just hit, and that's the key to sports betting as well for people out there. You just want to be profitable in sports betting. You don't want to try to go for the big win because then you're just gonna end up losing more money than you actually making on it. But I digress in sports betting advice because that's just not my particular area of expertise right now in this particular. But let's move on to. I want to tell you guys who to actually look for on these particular teams and giving you the best players on all these individual teams. And with it just being me right now, not having any of the boys on with me right now at this particular moment, I am in that position to do so. So, if we are going to start at the top of the WNBA, I will tell you right now, your top dogs. We just went through this again. We just went, as I say again, your top dogs. You need to look out for. Give me one sec. Put this out. All right. So if we start just in the conferences, I guess we'll say. So this is me. So we're ranked. I am about to tell you the best players on each team in the WNBA and who to watch for, so you know what you're looking at when you're looking at these teams and who's going to get the bucket for you in the fourth quarter. So, number 1, Atlanta Dream. You have Ryan Howard. Okay. Number 2, Chicago Sky. Mariah Mabry. Connecticut Sun. You have a dual threat because one's a scorer and one's just facilitator of the whole entire team. Think of her as like the Jokic, LeBron, Luka type player of the team, and one's the bucket getter. DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. Alyssa Thomas, facilitator, going to give you all 3 phases of the game. Defend, points, rebounds, assists, and she's going to do it all. Her points might not be there in the way and the fashion that you think it's going to be, but that's why she has her fiance there in DeWanna Bonner. The next team, Indiana Fever. As we all know, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, but you also cannot sleep on players like Kelsey Mitchell and Alana Smith in the starting lineup as well, because those will be the main contributors outside of Caitlin Clark. And when you go to New York Liberty, New York Liberty is a scary team because the whole entire starting 5 is unbelievable. Jonquil Jones, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Benaiza Laney Hamilton, and Courtney Vandersloot. Not saying they all, in their own way, are going to contribute in the way that they know how. Courtney, she's your facilitator. Sabrina Ionescu, she's going to shoot, she's going to score because that is her role within that offense. I'm not saying that she can't facilitate, that's just her score. That's just her role within the offense. Brianna Stewart is probably the best player on the team. The X factor on the team, Benaiza Laney Hamilton, who I believe will be an all-star this year. But she is the X factor for the team, and only a multitude of reasons, simply being that she's going to defend your best player, and that she's going to, when the game gets in a tough situation, her matchup is the easiest one to exploit, with her being in the position to beat them off the ball and to get to her rim to attack. Because she's 9 out of 10 times she's going to have the opposing team third or fourth person on them that's trying to guard her. So she's exploiting every matchup and getting to her bucket and doing exactly what she wants to do with the ball. And then you also have Jonquil Jones, a former league MVP, and what she does downside, and she can also pop it out on the outside as well. But that is who the Liberty Sun, excuse me, who New York Liberty's whole starting five. If we move down to the Washington Mystics, they are missing their star caliber player, and Elena Delle Donne, who also won a championship a couple of years ago. But right now, their best player right now is either Brittany Sykes, who's banged up right now, and then you also have Shakira Austin, who I believe will be their best player moving forward this particular season. And what she does for them is she does a lot for them. So look out for her as well. Moving on to the Western Conference, we have the Dallas Wings, in which I said previously, Arika Nwumwale. Like I said, if I'm butcher the name, I do apologize if you see the pot. Arika and Statu Sabali are their best players, but you also cannot sleep on Tierra McCown. And that's just the way that's gonna go. Next up, like I said, the Las Vegas Aces, my particular team. We have our four-headed dragon, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Jackie Young. They each could give you about 20 every night when they all play, and I'm sure that they probably will. Next thing, we got Sparks. I believe the Sparks' best player are literally between Lexi Brown and Derek Camby, but you also can't sleep on Cameron Brink. You also can't sleep on, they had another scorer. I can't think of it right now. But those three, definitely look out for as well. We're going to move down to Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota Lynx best player, Nafisa Collier, hands down. Bucket getter, inside, outside. Also can't sleep on, like I said before, Alana Smith, Courtney Williams now in the backcourt. So they got additions there. So that's why I think that team's probably going to make a big playoff push sometime. Towards the end of the season, they're going to rev it up, and you're going to see a lot of them playing big minutes. They're going to be in that position to kind of be in that eighth, or however the seeding works in the W. I forgot how it works right now, but they're going to be there. Next, we have Phoenix Mercury, Kalia Copper, and DT and Brittany Griner when she comes back. Are your three people there to look out for? And it'll be interesting to see how that works actually when Brittany Griner comes back. Simply just because I don't believe her or DT are as dominant as they were years before. I mean, prior to me being a Vegas fan, I was a Mercury fan, and what DT and and Brittany Griner used to do back then was remarkable. I know Diana Taurasi is getting on her LeBron side where she's just laying around in the game and just still cooking people. But it's about, I feel like at that point it'd be about the effective rate at the three of them, simply just because of how many touches you get. Because like I said again, just a couple weeks ago, they played the Aces and Kalia had 37. When Brittany Griner comes back, like, does she get a little bit more of those touches, or do you think she just goes back into a position where she's really just trying to stop Asia Wilson and getting cleanups off the board, which is naturally not her role because they played through a down post game when she's there when it was just her DT. So I'm interested to seeing how that works right now. But clearly, in this position, the best player on their team is Kalia, and the organization knows it, and they know it, and DT knows it, just simply because of the age. But that doesn't mean that DT ain't gonna spot you about 20 or 15 if she got to. Lastly but not least, Seattle Storm, which we already said they have another 4 player, Izzy, Neka, Skyler, and Jewel Lloyd. They all can give you about 15. Izzy can give you about 8-10 boards. And the way, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how they play as well, just simply because like you have 2 people outside, 2 people downside. And I feel like the spacing of that is kind of, you need like boxes and elbows. So if you say you put 2 on at the bottom, you put 2 at the top, and whoever that third person is in that lineup, they moving around and trying to be that other person for them. But I think Skylar needs to take on more of a positional role where she's the facilitator and not trying to look to score as much as she is trying to get inside, because her game is inside. She's not a scorer. She's not the natural shooter that Jewel Lloyd is. And what I believe Skylar needs to do is continue to try to penetrate. But if she's going to penetrate, then therefore you need to do something with Neka being down low and also Izzy being down low, because that's just going to affect her game and reasons why her shot efficiency is not a rate in which you want it to be on most nights, shooting like, again, I say like 8 for 22, which is terrible. Like, you're not going to win a game shooting 8 for 22. It may be close because you have other contributors, but you shooting 8 for 3. If you three Jewel, Izzy and Aneka all shoot 8 for 22, you're not winning that game. And even if Aneka has a grand game, because she's been the consistent one for that whole entire group, averaging like 20 plus points right now within 3 weeks into the season. And that's simply because her game is so sound. She's going to get to her spots and understanding what she needs to do to put her team in position, almost like Pascal Siakam in the NBA with the Pacers. The way that he's going to get to his spots and just know where he has to go to get his shot off, whether if it's 15 foot in the post or maybe sometimes stretching the floor and hitting the three somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So but to sum it all up, those are your best players on each team in this particular season. So those are the players you should watch out for, and those are the players. So when they play, you know who to look out for, you know what you're looking for, and you know what you're gonna get. Okay, if you stick around, listen to the pod, you can get more betting advice from your grandest host Jim John, the critic, and if you stick around from me and the Critical Boys, you'll learn more about us as we go along. But this is also just not a pod for the W. No. We got more coming for you. When we roll this out, we'll continue to be there for all your sports. W, NFL, NBA. Now, right now, I'm not covering the NBA simply just because it's a playoff, and you already have enough coverage of the NBA, if I'm being honest, and there's just no need for that anymore. So we're going to focus on the W in this particular series, and I hope that you guys continue to enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please, also, we will be starting a Twitter page called the NFA National Fan Association, where you guys can comment your favorite teams in any particular sport and just banter them if you like. Some people do that. Some people troll their team. Some people troll other people's teams. Some people troll the rep. So this is where this community is, and just kind of telling the commissioners like what exactly we want to see in the NFL at times. If you want to hashtag us at NFA, if you want to add us, some of you guys' posts will appear on the show. Yeah, so I want to say thank you to everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, follows along the journey, and just kind of to be there supporter. So we appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of Fans of the Game.